Hey guys, it's Patty from Patty's Crafty Spot, and I'm here to share with you a walkthrough of my latest mini album, as you can see. So real quick, let's go over what I used on this album. So I used both the 8x8 and the 12x12 sheets for Baby Dreams Boy. And I kind of did this album not so much to be as a baby boy album. I wanted to show you that just because it says baby boy, you don't necessarily have to make it a baby boy album, that the paper is just so gorgeous you can make it for an anytime album. If I had gotten a couple more packs, probably another pack of the bigger one, I could have gotten away with not using some of the little characters here, but I did use them and I will show you. And I also used, for the frame on the front, I used the decorative frame. And some of the, so I also used Prima Flowers right here. I will leave a link down below to the Prima Flowers that I used on this. I can't find the package, so I'll have to look it up. I was saving everything, but it's probably in a pile somewhere, so I'm not really sure where it may have ended up. I don't see it. And then I also used some of the Prills, these guys here, because some of the little beads had fallen off the Prima Flowers. So instead of re-gluing those on, I went ahead and added these ones. This one is, let's see if it has a color name on it. Guilt Trip is the color of it. So it's kind of like a brassy brown color. And honestly, if I would have actually picked all the little ones off that came on it and just did it with those ones, because I actually think that they look better on there than the gold ones. It matched, at least it matched what I was doing better. So I have those. And then for a lot of my stuff inside, I show you how you can use these album tags and accents, the Heartfelt creation dies, how you can use them to kind of think outside of the box, making pockets and tags, flaps and stuff. So I'll show you what I did with those. And I also went ahead and fussy cutted some of the butterflies that were from the paper collection. As you can see, they're kind of sticking up. So I kind of copied whatever one was on the paper and then put it on the top. And then some of them I just randomly put in other places so you can see them. And then this one, in some of the sneak peeks, I had the butterfly that was under here, but I really wanted to pop something up there, so I went ahead, fussy cut that little guy out and added them to the top. So let's take a walk through. Oh, let me give you a size first. Let me find my ruler. Alright, so for this here, it is 9 by 9 is the cover, and my spine is 2.5 inches. So you can see that. So this is what the spine looks like. So I also used, let me show you, I used some paper, and I used this one, and I think I used it all. So I saved my little tags. So I used, this one is Bluebells, which is really pretty. And my other tag, oh, I found my Prima Flower one. So this was the Prima Flowers, and I used Nature Lover. That's what I used. I knew I had it somewhere. And the white one I used was called Polar Bear, and you can almost kind of see it. It has quite a little shine to it, so I kind of triple matted or triple layered the cover. And then I also did it on here and the back side. As you can see, the butterflies are absolutely gorgeous. So let's go ahead and take a quick walk through. So on the front inside cover here, I have just a simple pocket, and then you can see the pretty butterfly right there. And then it'll just hold some photo mats. I also used some magnets from the shop, as well as Scor Tape to put it together, and the art glitter glue. So this is on the front. So I used a magnet to hold this together. So it's kind of a belly band. It does have some spacing in here. And if you really wanted to, I didn't seal any of these up. So if you wanted to, you could always use it to put in a little folder to pull out if you wanted some more space. I would just not go too crazy with how thick you put something in there. But this opens up, and I also show you how to do the tags as your flaps, and then this die here to make your closure. And then we flip open like this. So I show you how you can go ahead and use the die to make a neat opening for your pocket. And then of course this is the tag. And the part to make this is the same piece for this here. And then there's also one on the bottom. So we have a little flap on the side here to hold some photos, and then it flips open. A nice cute little angled pocket right here to hold some more photo mats. And then the same style page is over here, so you have plenty of room to go ahead and add some more photos to here if you want, or just leave the paper open. Oops, I missed that one. I'll have to get that one. And then it opens up. Again, more room for photos, or just leave the paper. And then I used the tags again to make some photo mats. So they just open up like this. And then in here, you can go ahead and just add some loose photos. Just leave them loose in there like that. And then these things here, once they close up, everything actually will be all contained inside, so nothing falls out. So I try to do stuff with the idea of making it so you can enclose things like that. And then depending on how you do it, you can make a nice look just like that. And then fold it all back up and close it up. And then we open up to the back side of the page. Again, lots of room for photo mats. You have lots of nice open spaces. And then right here, we open up to a huge section for all kinds of photos. So you get quite the room for photo spreads. Like that. And then again over here. So just real simple, but room for lots and lots of photos right there. Or you can go ahead and add in some paper if you prefer. And then we go ahead and start over. I went ahead in between right here. I went ahead and added strips of paper to where the binding is, just to add a nice look to that. I always like it when you color over or cover over the binding right there like that, so you just don't see all black. And then we just start back over again. So right here, tag, and then your little pocket. Room for photos. Those butterflies are just absolutely stunning. Open this way. Oops, and I forgot that one too. That's funny, I thought I had them all done. And right there, this little guy sleeping. This also right here is what I have on my cover. So that little sleeping fox is right underneath all of this, and then he's right there. So it's the same paper, but he got to make his debut right here. And then again, opening up, it's just like that. And then again, this side here with just the huge photo spread. And then this page. Little thin pocket. And then right down there. And did I get this one done? Yay! I did do that side. A little sleeping fox again. I like it when they stagger. I also use Vintage Photo to ink all of my edges. I also use Vintage Photo to ink the edges of my flowers on the front. And as you can see, you can put a lot in there with that magnet closure, and it's going to stay closed for you. And any size, you can do any size photo mats. I just chose ones in here to go ahead and fill in the book. And then also on the back, again, same thing, just a nice big pocket, super cute. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this walkthrough of this album. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to make our cover. I am not going to specify any measurements for this because I want to keep this as a generic video, because I find a lot of times that I have to keep making this part and it's the same steps over and over. So I'm just going to use one video and I'm just going to add this to all of my tutorials. So for the measurements for your album cover that you need to make, you can go ahead and look down in the description box on YouTube to see what size you need to make. Your size may be different depending on what size cover we're making, but all the steps are identical. So what you want to do is cut your cardstock 2 inches bigger, so that way you can do 1 inch all the way around. So say your cover is 8 by 8, your cardstock would be 10 by 10. So you're just going to add 2 inches to whatever measurement you're making for that. I'm going to use the 1 inch spacers. Apply score tape to the full back. And set it down. Just like that. If you don't have the spacers, you can also go ahead and do score lines. I recommend the spacers just because I love to have tools. But if you don't have them, you can go ahead and make 1 inch lines. So do a 1 inch like that, rotate and do another 1 inch line, and then you have your score lines just like that, and then just go ahead and do the same thing. And place that in between your score lines, just like that. And now I'm going to go ahead and add tape all around the perimeter. All right, so I went ahead and added tape. So now I'm going to cut off my corners. Any of the tools that I use will be down in the description box. So if you're wondering what I'm using any point along the way, that's where you can find out. And last one. If you don't have any tools either, you can go ahead and cut. And I'll show you on the last one. So you are cutting, leaving about a 1/4 inch or so, or 1/8 of an inch rather. So what you would do is just line it up and cut it just like that. But I have the tools, so I use the tools. And go ahead, and I like to crease on all 4 corners, and then go ahead and fold it down. Make sure it's good and stuck. And the other side. Make sure you push those ends, give them a good push down, that way there's no bulk. And then I like to take and press down in this area here to try to eliminate some of the overlapping that you get. And this one. That one's done. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to this one. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and do the spine piece. Apply tape all the way around. And, oops, get my spacers. I'm going to do this one a little differently. Whoops, I did not cut that right. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and do our spine piece. Same idea, cutting it 2 inches bigger than your spine. Your cardstock is 2 inches, and apply tape to the whole back. I'm going to do this one a little differently. I will show you. Sometimes I struggle with the doing it the other way, so we're going to do something new. Apply tape. Alright, I applied tape all the way around. I'm going to trim this up. And same thing, I'm going to go ahead and fold it all. Do these, which do I want to do first? We'll do the sides first. If you're making, if the spine happens to be thinner, you may want to not do a whole inch because you don't want a whole lot of overlapping. But this one's not too bad. If it was anything less than 1 3/4, I would definitely cut the cardstock a little shorter. And make sure you fold it all down. You want to make sure there's not a lot of, you want to get that as smooth as possible. Okay, and all right, let's move on to the next one. All right, so back to it. We have our cardstock that's cut just a 1/16 of an inch smaller than our covers, making a score line 2 inches. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and add my spine piece. And I'm going to mix up a little bit of glue and a little bit of tape. If I can get my glue to work. Well, let's get that to work first. All right, so I got this unplugged. All right, so now we have our 2 inch score line, and I'm going to go ahead and set this right up against that score line. And remember that you cut the you cut your pattern paper your cardstock just a little shorter, and I didn't make it even. So let's try it again. All right, so there we go. So you can see I am, get it in the light, right there and right there. Okay, and then for this piece here, what I want to do is cut over 2 inches. So what I did was I just put it in my paper trimmer, and I put this part in the trimmer and then just made 2 inches right there. And we can go ahead now and just put a little score line down there. Just that way you'll get some, it'll go ahead and fold nice. Give it a good burnish. And what I want to do now is go ahead and add some tape. All right, so I went ahead and added tape. You can see I didn't go quite to the edge here. And I also added tape to my covers. So these, when you put them on, the tape will get up against here. So first thing I want to do is I want to do a little trimming. So I am going to, so I have about a 1/4 inch right here. So I'm just going to angle this. So you can see just like that, because I want to leave a little bit for it to, so I have a little bit just like that, just because I want the book to go on here like that. So now what I can do is take this off. And stick that right on. And then the other side. So like that. And then I'm just going to slowly, because we did make those score lines, nice. And then I'm just going to go ahead and fold it down a little bit so it won't crack. Do it to both sides. And there we go. That's how I make the cover. All right, so the book is made. Make sure you look at the measurements down below as to what size we're making everything, and that you had just followed the video, didn't give sizes, but did give you on construction. So now we are going to go ahead and do the binding system. So the binding system is going to be 8 1/4 by 11, and you are going to score on, as you can see, I've already scored. So you're going to score at 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, 4 1/2, 5 1/2, 6 1/2, 7, and then 8 and 9. So these are all of your fold lines right here. It will have a 1/2 inch gusset and is 3 pages. And what I like to do is go ahead and fold, increase on all of the hinges, and then I do this back and forth. So I will go all the way one direction, and then I will flip it over and do the other direction. And each time I am doing this, I am making sure I am lining up perfectly against the top and the bottom. That way my pages will flip nicely and also be even. And if I need to straighten it along the way, I will. And let me just flip it over. giving it a good crease so your pages are going to go ahead and flip nicely. And the last one here. Sorry, just checking my messages. I'm off from work today, but I am never off. And now I'm flipping back the opposite direction. Again, also making sure I'm lined up. And flip it over. Oops. And sometimes when you do flip it over, it may actually not line up, so you want to make sure you do. And if you do have to adjust it, make sure you flip it back the other way just to be sure. But right now, no matter what direction, nice clean folds. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my tape. So I added my tape. So of course the hinges are 1 inch. So if you go from here, this was my 2-inch score line, and then this was 3, so I put it on this one. This is the 1/2 inch gusset. So then I went ahead and skipped this hinge, put it on this 1/2 inch gusset, and then my other 1 inch hinge, because when you fold it over, you're just going to fold it over like that. So let's go ahead and do that now. Make sure all your tape, there's no tape overhanging on here. And then this one's going to go onto here. And then this one onto here. And over like this. And this is what you'll have now. You can see. And it looks also too right here is nice and flat, so it'll lay in my book on the spine nice and flat. There we go. And then one other step I like to do is, so these hinges here are 1 inch, and as always we're going to mark a 1/2 inch. So my little squares here on my desk are a 1/2 inch. I mean 1 inch. And then I don't know if I can zoom in just to show you. Let's see. No, it's not going to show you well, but there's little dots on here. So I am going to go ahead, and so again, this is what I have. And I'm taking the hinge here and I'm folding everything else back, finding where a 1/2 inch is on my mat. You can use a ruler too. And just going to put a little tick mark at the 1/2 inch. So you can see right here, put that little mark. Again, this is what you're looking at. And now I'm going to go through on all of them and put a little tick mark on each end as well as both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. All right, so I went ahead and added my little marks. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is add Scor Tape to the hinges. And it's easy to do this now before I put the tape on the back that adheres it to the spine, because I have a lot of flexibility with this right now. So I'm going to put tape on both sides. And that's where our pages are going to stick. So right here. So again, this is the angle, and I'm putting the tape on both sides, and I'm going to do it to all the hinges. All right, so I have tape on all the sides. The next step is I need to trim these back a little bit. So you can see, let's see, the little tick mark right there. Let's find one that might be a little brighter. I guess this one you can see good. So there's my little tick mark right there where my fingernail is, right there. So what I want to do is trim this back, but I'm only trimming from the Scor Tape, not the tick mark. So you can see right there, there's the tick mark, still a little smidge of the straight part there still. So I'm going to go through and trim each one. And then that way when I put my pages on, they'll sit nicely. Just like that. Okay. And as you can see now, they're all trimmed top and bottom. The only thing left now, we need to go ahead and cover the entire back with tape. Okay, so we have tape now across the whole back, and what I want to do right now is just make sure it is good and stuck in where my hinges are, because this is going to get a lot of play. So I just like to hit it real quick. And then the rest we can just varnish down when we stick it in our book. So our book is made, our binding system is made, and now it's time to put the binding system into the book. So our book is 9 inches, and our binding system is 8 1/4. So if you look right here, so the way I like to figure out the center point, or the top and the bottom, is, so we're roughly here, so we have 3/4 of an inch, so I come in 1/4 inch on each side, and then an eighth, so 3/8, so 1 2, what is it, 1 2 3, 1 2 3 is the center, so 3/8 top and bottom. So just in case you're wondering how I figure that out, so I am going to come up 3/8 and make a little mark there, so I know where I'm even right here. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And then I'm just going to check it, so my pencil marks top and bottom. And if I put it here and I put it there, it looks like it's good there. So now the only other thing I need to do is find the center. So we are 2 1/2. So the center should be 1 1/4. So I'm going to make a little mark right there. And on this side, 1 1/4. And just to be sure, if you're not, from here to here is 1 1/4. So then from there to there is 1 1/4. And then I'm seeing how it is a 3-page book. Obviously, this would be the center. So again, I'm just going to line it all up just to make sure. So I'm making sure the dot I have on the book itself here and the one up here lines up even with this. That way my pages will be even. So once I'm sure, I can go ahead and stick it down. Everything looks good to me. Okay, and then make sure I have no tape sticking up. Okay, looks good. And I'm going to hold it tight. I'm going to put a little little tension on it just to keep it nice and flat. Look at that. That binding system is perfectly even up here. That is pretty good. So I'm going to a little tension so it doesn't sag. And I'm using the back parts of my fingers, these ones here, to kind of just guide up and down. And I have it. Stick it down. All right, and oops, this. All right, and make sure we're good. And there we go. So what I'll do is just lift up on this a little bit till I can find where it's supposed to fold. And then just keep working it back and forth as I slowly lift the cover up. And then I can give it a good stick. And then what I like to do is just slowly crease it over. And I just go a little more each time till I can get the book to go flat. I'll do the rest of that in a second because I don't want this side to stick down yet till I crease it. And then put that all down. And then holding it from the bottom here and just slowly working it. You don't want to go too fast because you don't want your paper to crack. And then this side. And looks good to me. So I'm just going to go ahead and press these down. And there we go. Looks good. There we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next step. Alright, so we are going to go ahead and get started on our base pages. Now this is going to be a really fun page to play with. We're using a lot of the dies as you've seen in the preview. So to start with your base pages, I'm going to call this A, I believe. I think that's how I'm going to word it in the thing, so just look down below in the description box for your measurements. If I have anything wrong that I say, always check the description box because any adjustments will be there, so follow the measurements down there. So we're going to start off with A, which is the base, one piece 8 1/4 by 8 1/4, one piece 8 1/4 by 9 1/4, and you're going to score on the 9 1/4 inch side at a 1/2 inch on each end. So 1/2 inch and 8 3/4 tape, and we're going to just trim back our corners a little bit. So I am cutting from the score line up. That way if there's any overhang, you won't see it. Just like that, and then fold back. And then I'm just going to burnish it down somewhere. I really should have cleaned my desk before I started. Well, this one will work. I'll find my other one after. And then now we have this. This is going to go on top. I'm just turning it sideways because it's easier for me to line up. And it looks square all the way around. I know I do mine a little differently. This is how I like to do mine. And you have the little tunnel. All right, now on to the next. All right, so we're going to start using some of the Heartfelt Creation dies to make some fancy pockets and flaps and stuff. So I'm using the album tags and accents, and this is the one that I'm using. I will leave it listed down below for a link to the store. So what you want to do is, this is the larger piece, so this would be the base piece, and then right here you have the decorative piece. So we're working with the larger piece, and you're going to go ahead and cut out 2 of the tags. All right, and we need to make some marks first before we get too far. So let me get my ruler. All right, so these are the openings are on the side, and we need to find the center of our base page. So this is 8 1/4, so our center would be 4 1/8. But I have a centering ruler here, so obviously I'm going to go over to the 4 1/8. So here's my 0 on my centering ruler. 4 1/8 is right here, and 4 1/8 is right here. So I'm going to line those up. And I'm going to make a mark here and a mark here for my center spot, so you can see those. And then I'm just going to kind of connect the dots. And you don't have to worry about erasing these lines, because when you put pattern paper over it, you're not going to see them. They're just guides now for placement. So I have the center here. So we have this like this. And while we already know what we need here, we're going to rotate it so the holes are top and bottom. And we're going to do the same thing again, but we're going to do it only on the edges. Right there. And these are going to come in handy for placement with our tags afterwards. Okay, so rotated back, you can see the 2 on the side and the 1 in the middle, and there's our opening. So now what you're going to do is, just at the moment, we're not going to do anything other than make a mark on our tags. So we're going to go ahead and line it up so our tag is just touching the line that you wrote. And then you're going to do the same thing, so they're both going to be like this. This is how we're going to do them. So once you have that, go ahead and make a little mark. And they're going to be exactly the same measurement, because if you measured the same here, this is the center. These tags obviously are cut the same because you used a die. So once you get your measurements for one, then you don't have to worry about, you just copy it for the other one. And if they don't line up, then you've measured something wrong, because everything's identical. So now what I'm going to do is take my scoreboard. I have my little tick mark, and I'm going to see where on here it lines up. So this one here is lining up almost at the 2. So if you see right here, let's see if I can get it in the light more. Here's the 2, and my tick mark is actually between the 7/8 and the 2. So for this one, it's going to be easy. So I'm just going to score at 2 inches. And I want to make sure that these are going to be flaps locking everything closed. So let me show you. So we need to create some space on this. So 1/4 inch, that way it accommodates for all the stuff you're filling inside. So this is what I need on the front, the 2 inches. So I'm going to go back to 1/4, so 1 3/4. And now this is what I have, just like that. So now I know what my measurements are, so I can just replicate it over here. So 2 inches for the main part, and then backing it up 1/4, 1 3/4, and I have this. So now if you do not have the die and want to use regular paper, that you want to still create the album, you're going to go ahead and cut out cardstock that is going to be 6 inches by 4 inches, and you're just going to replicate the same thing that we just did there. You're just not going to have the fancy edge right there like we do here. All right, so now while we have this, flip it over so you have like the nice clean cut side, and this, obviously I just said it was 4 inches across, so 2 inches would be your middle. So this one you might have to erase afterwards. So on the back side, I have 2 inch mark, and it's on the bigger half right here. So when we place it in the book, we're just going to kind of, actually, you know what, put it on the other side. Or actually on the middle, the hinge part. So when we add these to the book, we're going to go ahead, put them under, and then we just line up our 2 lines like this, and then you'll have your center part. So let me go ahead and add some tape. Alright, so I went ahead and added tape onto my pieces. So the tape basically is on the back side. You can tell on your dies like how it's kind of got a little edge here, and then the front side's a little smoother. So I just want the front side showing, but if you do it backwards, it's no big deal. You're going to cover most of it anyway with paper, so it's not really going to show, but I just kind of like to do that. Some instances when you cut the die, especially when you're using pattern paper, it doesn't always work that way. So sometimes you'll have like more of the cut edge on the front. And you also sometimes, I find a lot of the times I will cut something with the die, with the pattern, and then I flip it over and I actually like the opposite side more. So it goes back and forth. So you're going to go ahead and fold on your score lines. So you have this. And same thing with the other one. Okay, you have that. So now we're going to take our piece. And we have our little marks on each side right here, as well as our little marks right there. Whoops. Right there, you can see it. And we're just going to line it up to the marks. So, and we're going to tuck it inside the book, or the page, rather. Okay. And real easy, you can line it straight up to the first score line. So I'm going to slip it in and make sure I'm good. I'm just probably about a 1/16 of an inch away from that score line. And you can see right there. And now everything will fold over just like that. Don't worry if you're not right up to the line. It doesn't matter because we're going to go ahead afterwards and cut this tag to make the closure, and it'll just all, and there's a magnet there, so that's why you see that. It's actually, you can see it better this way a little bit. My light's washing it out. And then the same thing for the other side. Slide it in. Oops, my mark. I didn't do one on this one. So 2 inches. And make sure when you're putting the tape on, it's going to the page because you need to leave this open. And there we go, just like that. So that's how we do that part. We'll move on to the next. All right, so next is going to be our C piece, and you need 2 pieces, 5 1/8 by 8 1/4. And on the 5 1/8 inch side, you're going to score it a 1/2 inch, apply tape. These are going to be your top and bottom pieces. And we're trimming them. And fold and score, or not fold and score, fold and burnish. Oops, I actually forgot a measurement. All right, I forgot. It's not just 8 1/4. It is, we need to create a gusset. So I already have my tape on. So 8 1/4, and then I'm going to go at 5/8. So you have 2 score lines now. So you're creating a small gusset. All right, so then you are creating that like that. But everything else I did is exactly the same. I just forgot a score line. Let me make that on my notes so when I type it up. Okay, so these are our top and bottom flaps. So I'm going to open this part. I'm just going to turn it just because it's easier for me to put it on. Fold back on the first score line at the 1/2 inch score line. So you can still see that right here. It's just easier for me to place it. So here's the opening right here. I'm just rotating it so I can put it on the bottom. Lining it up. It should be the same width as your base page. And then the same thing for the top part. Again, there's that. Lining it up, making sure we're squared off even. You want to make sure you're lined up to the sides. And you just fold back now on that little score line. So you can see now you have space there and then you have space here. So remember, this one's the 1/4 inch. This is one here. Spacing is only 1/8 of an inch. That way, as you build up, this one has room and this one has room for the stuff further down. So that's the reason why you go ahead and make those extra score lines. Okay, so now we're going to move on to pockets, and these pockets are going to go on these flaps here. So you're going to have one at the top and one at the bottom. And we are going to go ahead and make a fancy design in them. So what you're going to do is, this is going to be for F, which pockets are on the flap, and you are going to, let's see. Oh no, this is going to be D, pocket that's on the flap. I have another pocket coming up. So this is going to be 5 by 5.5. And you're going to score on the 5 inch side at a 1/2 inch and on the 5.5 at 1/2 inch and at 5. So this is what you have. So we need to make some marks first on this. So we are going to use our ruler and a pencil. And let's see, we're going to find our center. So if it's 5.5, 1/4, 2, 2 3/4 is your center. So I'm going to make a mark and I'm going to draw a line. Okay, I have that. So now we're going to be using these dies here from the same one. We're going to try to get the most out of that die. So if you buy dies, you only have to buy the one, and you shouldn't have to buy anything more, that you can make the album using that one. So anyway, this is what I have. And you have these two. So now when you're creating a pocket with the dies, you kind of actually work backwards. So when you make a tag, the bigger piece, let's see. So when you make a tag, the bigger piece is usually like your black cardstock or whatever, and the smaller piece is your pattern. But when you're making a pocket, you actually work opposite. So your smaller piece is going to go on your pocket, and then your pattern paper will have the bigger one, so it borders it. So let me show you. So this is what we're doing here. So on this one here, what normally would be your pattern paper is now actually going to be your cardstock paper, and that's where you get this one. And then your pattern paper would be the opposite, and then that's where you get that one. So you just have to kind of think about it and then just work backwards from it. So I always make marks on all of my dies when I'm working with them. So this happens to be a 1-inch grid. So for this one here, I kind of eyeballed. So let me zoom in just to show you. Whoop, and over. All right, we're going to try to look at this the best we can. So on here, this is a grid. It's a 1-inch grid, and it has little dots on it at, let's see, quarter, half, 3/4. Yeah, so every 1/4 inch there's a little dot. So there's 3 dots in the center here. So what I do is I line this up so I know these points here are lined up on this line here. As you can see, I'm lining it up. And because this is almost 1, 2, 3 inches, it's just shy, I can pretty much center it between these 2 spots here so I know where it's centered. And right here is my center little dots for the 1/2 inch. And obviously if I have it lined up on this line here, I know I'm straight this way. So up here. So what I do is line it back up. So with this line here, I know I'm not crooked like this and then trying to put a dot where I think. So I line it up, put it right between my lines where I know it seems to fit. And then right here is the dots on my mat. So I will just match up the dots and make a little mark. And that would be the center point of this die. So you can see, so that right there would be the center. Okay, so that's how I find that. Now let's zoom back out a little bit. Okay. So now I have my paper here. This is my center, and you can see how my score lines are down here. And I'm going to get some tape. Now this is not a super sticky tape. It's made for kind of holding dies down. They call it purple tape, I think. It's actually very not sticky at all. So don't go running out and buying this because it doesn't really hold very well. I have to be very careful when I cut it. It kind of will hold it, but I would say don't run out and go get that. Washi tape would work the best because washi tape is also semi-sticky. So what I'm doing is I am lining up the dot here to my center mark that I made, and then these 2 pieces here where the points are, oops, here and here, that's where I'm going to line it up there. So I should be from here to here about the same distance. So I'm going to put my tape down, and I'm going to run it through my die cutting. All right, so I just ran it through my machine. Like that. And because I will have some of the black showing, I'm going to just go ahead and erase some of that pencil mark. Like that. And then we just carry on like normal. So we're going to add our tape and cut. All right, so I went ahead and added my tape. So now we're going to go ahead and cut. Everything else for a pocket is normal. So trimming it all up just like that. And then fold back on your score lines. Make sure nothing is overhanging. Yeah. And then take your hinge. So this is going to go on the top one, all lined up right there. So let's get that one on. And I will show you how to cut the pattern paper on this one, because if you've never worked with dies like this before, it's going to be a little confusing. So I will show you how to decorate that so you're aware. Just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the second pocket to the bottom. Now I have my other one ready, and I'm going to go ahead. So there's that one. And I'm going to go ahead and attach this one to the opposite side. Right there. Okay. And that's what we got at the moment. Just like that. We'll go on to the next. All right, so we're moving on to our other page pieces. Just save these. I don't know if we're going to use these for guides when we cut our pattern paper. Depends on how I feel. You can do it two different ways, so I might show you both. So just hold on to these little guys from your pockets. If we use them, I'll show you. So anyway, so our next piece here is piece E, and you're going to got two pieces at 8 by 12, and you have this here. You're going to go ahead on the 12-inch, and you're going to score at a 1/2 inch, and at 8.5, we're going to put our tape on them, and these are going to be our right and left hand pages. And this will give you room for more photo opportunities, things like that, or you can always add pockets and stuff. So go ahead and fold. And I just want to make sure I go both ways there, just because it helps with it flipping. And then this piece here, we're going to fold over. Make sure when you're folding it over, you're lining it up square to the top and the bottom so it does not become crooked. And the same thing with this one. And let's trim up. Now this is a little smaller because this is an 8 by 8 area right now. It's a little smaller than your page, so if you don't trim off the Scor Tape, the corners there, it's not a big deal. But it's just habit, so I do it anyway. I feel like I'm going to keep going down, and I'm not going to be recording there. All right, and let me just trim this one real quick. All right, so we are going to fold this back and this over. Let's grab our book. So we're going to open it up and get this. That's all going to crash. Sometimes I wish I can record with music going. That way YouTube wouldn't flag me for it. Because in between it's so quiet. And then I thought I'd put earbuds in and just only I could hear the music, but then I don't think I could concentrate. So anyway, you have your little flap. This is going to go onto this side right here. So center it to the space. And make sure you're lining up down here at the bottom so it's not crooked. And if you didn't quite score it perfect, just adjust it a little bit, because what's more important is it lining up here and here, so that way your page will close within. Okay. So then what you have here, it opens up this way and goes like that. And then this one here does the same thing. It just goes on the opposite side. And it looks good there. Stick it down. And there we go. So now you have the two pockets, and it's just short enough here because you have maybe a quarter, a little bit longer, so your pages don't interfere. And then your flaps go up and down, and then you'll have your magnet closure here to keep all of that contained. So we have a couple more steps to do. So now we're going to work on F, which is a flap. I mean the pocket that we're putting on the flap. So this is 4.5 by 3.5, and on the 4.5 inch side you're scoring at a 1/2 inch and at 4, and on the 3.5 inch side you are scoring at a 1/2 inch. It is a pocket, so let's go ahead, trim it up. Now I'm only putting one on, however you could do 4 of these and put one on each flap. I just don't know how much bulk is going to end up happening here, and I don't want to make too much, because the more bulk you get, the further that your magnets, your flaps are going to start pulling away, and you're going to start to lose where your magnet goes. So if you do one and decorate it, just kind of play it by ear. I think because these do stagger, you could get away with putting a pocket on this flap and then on this flap, because they'll even themselves out. But I'm going to go ahead and put it on one for now. And I might add it, I don't know if I'll add it to the other one, we shall see. So you have it on the flap. You could put it here, but you'd have to go a little shorter, because this flap is pretty much right up from edge to edge. So you might have to trim it a little bit shorter, because if you went in, you might interfere with that fold. So it folds this way good, but whatever you want. You do have the opportunity to go ahead and add more pockets if that's what you want. I'm just going to put it on the top, and I don't think I'm going to put one here, but we'll see. I didn't do one on this one because I still have to finish my pages. So I have it right here. I didn't do it on this guy. I kind of like that butterfly, so at this point it's too late for me to put it on this page, and I don't want to put it underneath. I'm still decorating. I need to see what I have left for paper, because I need to get the bigger areas covered first. And if I'm running short of paper, I will just add photo mats. And it's one way to help kind of save paper. So we just did this, and now we're going to do this little corner pocket. So if you do get too thick, what I was talking about is your piece here, if you start building it up, you're going to start losing your magnet connection here, and then it's not going to stay. So let's go ahead and cut the corner pocket. So we're going to go ahead and make a nice corner pocket for here. So you need to cut a piece that is 7 by 7, and you're going to score all the way around at a 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. Go ahead and apply your tape, and I'm going to put it in my paper cutter, and I'm going to line it up, and I'm going to cut from here down to here. So this is what we have. Save this, because you can use it for another pocket afterwards, because you are making 3 pages. You'll end up with one extra corner pocket, and we may or may not use it. So I'm going to cut off here. Again, same thing. You can add more corner pockets to the other page if you'd like, or the back sides. Again, just keep in mind any bulk, because you will be adding pattern paper and photos. So we have this one here. So the one that has this little pocket we put on, I just wanted to add this to the corner to kind of give it a nice little visual look. I think it's kind of fun when you see the layers of pockets and stuff. It just kind of looks fun to me. So that's what I'm going for. So you have this, and then we open all the way up. Now we're going to work on this side here. So for this one here, I believe it is 4 tags. Let me just double check. Yep, so we're going to go 4 tags. So you can see what I mean by that layering. It kind of gives it a nice look when you play around with the papers like that. Like this one looks like the butterfly's coming off. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and cut out now 4 tags, And for those tags, we are going to go ahead and use the actual background tag piece. So that would be the larger one. So we have the smaller and the bigger one, and we are using the larger one. So we're going to cut 4 of those. So I have my tags cutting out, and just like any kind of flap, I'm just scoring at a 1/2 inch, nothing fancy on this one. We are just going to go ahead and use the entire tag, other than the part where we're going to go ahead and bind it onto the page. So that's just normal. And I'm going to add my tape real quick. And then the front half is done. And then we can do the back. The back part is going to be pretty simple. It's just going to be areas to add photos. So that one will be pretty quick. It's pretty cut and dry on that one, what we're doing. So go ahead and fold back and burnish. There. All right, so for these ones, so they're going to go in this area here. So if you put them on, you will see that if you put them all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom, or at least minus probably about a 1/16 between the top and the bottom, you get a nice space right here. So I'm going to put this on, attach it. I'm going to go all the way up to, but not quite up to the score line of my flap. And almost to the bottom as well. It's pretty much the same distance on the bottom and on the side. So it's about a 1/16, and it's just enough to keep everything from bumping into each other and causing it not to like flip up this way or like that. And the same thing on the other side. So when I put the opposite side on, I just want to make sure that I am lining it up with this one. So we like almost creating a straight line straight across, and same with the bottom. And we're going to do the same thing on the top. I'm actually going to just flip it so I can see it better, because if I lean up to see it, you're going to get my head. So this one is going to go same thing. You can see nothing is overlapping. And on the other side, and then you have these. So if I turn it back around, you have all your flaps. So you do have room where you can put in some loose photo mats in here if you want to, because everything here is going to keep it all contained, so nothing actually is going to fall out. And that's how I kind of like to design my albums, where everything stays tucked inside, so that way if you move around your book, you're not going to lose any tags and stuff out of it. So anyway, that's how we do the front, and we're going to work on to the back. We're going to work on the back side now. So the back side is pretty simple. There's not a whole lot to it. It's just giving you a lot of room for photos. So your first piece, which is going to be piece I, is going to be 8 1/4 by 8 5/8. And on this piece, this is the left side. So this is going to be scored at a 1/2 inch and at 5/8. So you have 2 score lines on this. So go ahead and fold and burnish. And this side's going to have a little bit of a gusset because we want to have some room because of the photo mats. So this is going to be the outer page. So let's trim it. So put this one on first. So this is the front. Make sure I didn't flip it around. Okay, so like this. All right, so this piece here is going to go on the left side. And you're folding it back, so if we were to fold it up, you have this, and we're folding it flat so I can attach this evenly. And looks like we're all squared off. Stick it down. Just like that. So now we're going to do the right side pocket. The right side pocket is piece J, which is 8 1/4 by 8 1/2. And on the 8 1/2 inch side, you're going to score it a 1/2 inch, apply tape. And this only has the one score line, so we can fold this one. Trim it. And open up the page we just put on, and this one is going to go on the opposite side. All lined up. And there we go. And now we'll just cut some photo mats. Alright, so I cut my photo mats. You want 2 of them at 6 3/4 by 4 1/4, scoring at a 1/2 inch. And 4 of them at 4 3/4 by 6 1/4. If you need to, you can go ahead and adjust these. These will fit any direction on your pages. So there's plenty of room for that. If you need to have more portrait, you can just make them all portrait. If you need them all landscape, you can go ahead and do that as well. Especially if you already know what kind of photos you are putting in. And these two. My video messed up. Alright. We'll have to see what that looks like. Oh, see, it is messing up. Let me stop. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and finish real quick. So we flip this over, open this up. For this, I'm going to take my 2 landscape ones, and I'm going to put this one in the bottom corner. And we're going to put this one in the top corner. Whoops, where is it? This guy in the top corner. And then here, so I have this one in the bottom. I'm going to do the opposite and put it in the top. Right there, and then in the bottom corner on this side. Oops. Like that. And that, and then on this side, because I have the one top, I'm going to put it on the bottom. Don't forget you have the double score lines, so you're going to just put it up to the first. Like that, and then at the top, we're going to go ahead and stick this one down. And this is how the back goes. So this piece here will go over. The one with the gusset, the extra gusset here will go on top, so it eliminates all the bulk. And there we go. So we're going to get started, and I'm going to show you how to go ahead and cut out the pieces that you need from the dies that we used as our background pieces and stuff. So for this piece right here, I don't need to cut out the whole section of this because most of it we're going to cut off. As you can see, if you put it on here, there's this much space that you don't need. So I'm just going to use some of my scraps, and just to make sure, I'm going to lay it on. Looks like it lines up. So I'm going to go ahead, stick this on kind of where I feel like I want to have some of it showing, and then cut it out, and I will show you to cut. So I just cut this part out. Now I'm not going to stick this one on just yet because we need to do our magnet part of it. But, so if I go like this, and then I get it about where I want it, and then I can just go ahead and make a little mark, cut that piece off. I lost my pencil mark. I see it. And that's how you put that piece on. So, but let's first go ahead and do our closure part, because we can't put this on yet. We need to put a magnet down. So for our closure part, we're going to go ahead and use these two pieces right here. So this one here will be the background piece. As you can see in this one here, it's the black piece right here. So that would be that one. I'm going to cut that one out, as well as I need to cut 2 of the pattern paper pieces out of this piece, because I need to go ahead and add pattern paper to the back side before I stick it down on my pieces here. And I'm also going to go ahead and cut out this side here, doing the same thing I did on this side. I'm just going to do it over here. I just showed you how to do it, so I'm going to go ahead and get that one cut as well. All right, so I have all my pieces cut out that I need. I have the background piece here, and then this one is going to go on the back side, this one here, and this on the front side, and then this will be our closure. Looks super pretty. So let's go ahead, and first thing down need to do is put this one down. And let's see if the glue is going to come out. Nope, it is. All right, there's that. And I'm going to open it up because I don't want to squish anything in the book. So we'll put this one down. And smooth out the glue. Like that. Okay, and let's go ahead and we'll put this one on the front. So I did go ahead and I did already ink everything with Vintage Photo. So that is done. There's that one. When I spread the glue out, I like to kind of go towards the middle so I don't get any glue popping out the sides. And for this one here, so I'm going to just kind of eyeball what I see. So over here is about where I want to put the magnet. So if you look right here and here, let me get a white piece of paper. We'll do this. You can see it better. So right here, I can kind of see where this is going to go. And then like here is like all this spacing. So if I want, I'm going to put the magnet right there. So let me get a magnet. A positive and a negative. So here, and I'm just going to flip it like this so I know I'm working on that side. and set it down just like that. And then now I'm going to, this is non-directional, so if it is directional paper, make sure you're putting it on, but this is not, so. And I'm going to glue this piece on. And I just want to make sure the magnet, in case it slips, it won't slip too far. And then this piece over the top. And then while it's gluing, I'm just going to keep pressing it down. So the paper just forms around it. And then you can see it's kind of flat. And now I need the other magnet. So I can go ahead and set this on. So I want to make sure that I am centered through the middle, as well as kind of paying attention to where these parts are here. So if I give it a test run, I can kind of eyeball where it should go. So I have a little space down here and a little space right there and the center. So I'm going to hold this like this. I'm going to add glue to this side first. And then I'm going to add it over here. So I'm getting the outside edge of this part and the outside edge of that, of this part here. So I'll have full glue coverage. And just eyeball it. Looks good. And press it all down. Like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my magnet and put it on the magnet on this side here. And then I'm just going to put a little dot of glue, just kind of giving me a stamped impression. And then press it down. So now I have a little spot of my glue. And I can stick this one down now. And then we can go ahead and cover this piece over. And then also right around. And set it on. And same thing. The paper all stuck around that magnet. I'm not pressing too hard around the magnet because I don't want to see like the creases in the paper around the magnet. So I'm just kind of doing a little circle motion. And then there you go. So that's how you do that part right there. I don't want to pull too hard just yet because I know the glue is still drying. But that's how you line that up. And next we will move on to, I'll show you how to do the pockets. All right, so we're going to go ahead and cut out our pockets. So as you can see, it has the unique shape there. And we did use the one that normally would be the pattern paper one to go ahead and cut right here. So now we're going to go ahead and I cut out a piece of pattern paper. So this is 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So I cut this pattern piece to be the size had this pocket not had this little unique shape to it, and it fits right in there. So this one happens to be 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So if you have these pieces saved, like I mentioned, go ahead and you just line it up, see if this one fits compared to the other ones. They should all be pretty much the same if you measured and followed the directions. So this one fit a little better. These aren't even from this one, so did that just like that. So if you see, you can see, oops, you can't see because it's, you cannot see because it's too dark. So if I go ahead and I put this in like this, and all right, so I had to pause the video, but we're back at it now. So anyway, this, I don't know where I left off without having to watch it. So I cut this piece here, 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, which is what you would cut it at if the pocket was solid. And I have this here so you can kind of see it. So this is one of the pieces that we had cut out. So you see, if you put it back on here, it lines back up all the way pretty much. So what you can do is there's a few different ways you can go about cutting. So if I take this and I put this on top, I'm going to use these sections right here kind of as guides. And if you line it up evenly, it hopefully will be lined up right where you need to cut. So let's give it a try. Oops. All right, I can't do it one-handed. I can do it like this. So right here. And you'll know for the most part if you got it lined up because, whoops, this piece here should be exactly straight all the way down. Then that way, oh shoot, that way you'll know if you have it even. All right, so I'm just going to hold that there and slide it over. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to trace it. Okay. Now I can take this piece and I can set it right over it. So you know roughly how much spacing you need because you can see how close things are right in here. So if you put the pencil line and pretend the pencil line is the actual piece. And I'm going to cut it out. All right, so I just cut this out. And let's see how we did. So if you put it on, voila, that's a perfect fit as far as I'm concerned. So and I just glue it down. So anyway, that's how you go ahead and cut out those pieces right there. So I'll do the rest off camera because I got really lucky, so we're good. But I do this, I've done this a lot, so I'm pretty confident in what I'm doing. So if you have any questions, just rewatch what I did. It's pretty self-explanatory. And you have this piece kind of left over. If you wanted to do something with it, you could always make it, could be a cute little tag for the pocket. So you can put your pattern paper down and then you can just use, you can always use something like that just as a little tuck spot to go ahead and put something on. So always save your pieces because you never know, you might want to use them. All right, so let me just show you real quick. I wasn't going to do it because I figured it'd be pretty easy, but then again, some of you may not be real familiar with using dies. So I need to cover this section right here. So this is a piece of scrap, and obviously I don't need the full length of the die because it's going to go into the book. And this piece here fits perfect. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut this out, and then I'll just trim it down to what I need. So I will show you how to trim that. All right, so that is cut out. And then all you want to do is go ahead, put it where you want it. And then find a pencil. Maybe this one. And then I can see where my paper needs to go. So just take a little mark and then trim it. And it fits right there, so it'll fold over. Just make sure where your score lines here, you don't go past the little score lines, because then it's not going to fold. So if I put it on, you can kind of see that it's just before the score line. So that's how I do that one, and you do the same for the other side. And let's see, I showed you on this one, I think. Maybe this one. So I already showed you how to do those, and then the only thing left to do, oh, let's see. This one doesn't have it yet. So I put my the white paper on for my photo mats, and I cut these all at 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. So those are square. So I have this small section right here left, and I'm literally going to do the same thing. So the way I did these ones here is exactly how you do this. So you cut out your piece. Obviously you don't need a lot because you're only doing this small section. I would set it on, and then I just bring it down just a tad so I can see the bit of the white photo mat, put a little mark, and then keep it right there, move it up a little, make a little mark, and then I just literally cut from mark to mark in my paper cutter, and then that's how you do all those. So I think that that was everything I needed to show you how to cut left, and everything else is just normal cutting, measuring, and I think that is it. So other than that, I just need to finish adding my papers, and I need to remake my book, because if you saw my haul video that I just got, I got in yesterday, but it'll be a few days from now when you see this. I actually figured out that I made my book the wrong size. So, because my pages stick out from the book when they're in the book, it's literally going to be sticking out. So you can see if I put them in where they're supposed to go, it's bigger than my book. So don't worry, the cutting guide will be perfect. Alrighty, so I'm going to finish that up, and then I will be back when we go to put the finished pages in the book. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put my pages in the book now. And I think because I only have one yellow butterfly, that I definitely want this to be my middle page. So that would be the middle one, and it's a toss-up between these two, which one I want as the first page. And I think I'm going to go with this one. I kind of like this one better for the front page. No particular reason, just happen to like that one better. So we're going to put in our last page first. And just make sure we fit. So when you're putting your page in the book, you have your little marks where you made for your 1/2 inch on your binding system. And that is where we want this page to go down to. And then that way we'll know we're even too, because we've measured and we should lay flat. All right, so test each one first before you put it down, just in case you have to make any adjustments. And when you have it where it's supposed to go, you can give it a good stick. Oops. I don't want to squish the pages, so that's why I'm opening it up. Okay. Looks good. And now my second page. Let's put this this in first. This way I can hold this close. I test my page. Looks good, so I can put this one in now. That was a little tight. And looks good there. Okay, and then our last page, our first page. And looks good. So let's stick this one down. And looks good. And there we go. There. Now just finishing up a few more touches. I got to do the cover. I still got to finish some pages. I want to get the cover going first though, just so I know what I have left over, because I really want to get it done, but I just want to make sure that whatever I decide to do for the cover, I have enough. But anyway, that's what we have. Coming along pretty good. Alright, so the only thing left is a pocket on the inside front and back covers. So I'm just going to do a simple pocket. It is going to be 3.5 by 9 1/4, scoring 1/2 inch on each end and 1/2 inch on the bottom. We're going to trim them. Make sure nothing is overhanging. And I'm just going to center it to the space. Trying to keep it even with the binding. And there you go. And just go ahead and decorate. So I'm going to go ahead and start coloring this Prima frame. And it's all white. This is what I'm using, the decorative frame. And it's by Prima. I looked at the store and I only saw a round one, so I'm not sure if Tamara's just out of stock on these, but there is round ones available. So I'm just going to show you how I'm going to decorate it. Now I'm kind of thinking of maybe doing something like that in the frame. We shall see. So I'm just using vintage photo, and as you can see, I started to play around with it because I wanted to see how well it would work, and it's kind of cute. So we're going to go with it. I believe you can use inks, paints, whatever you want. I'm trying to give it a little more of a vintage look, but I have some other stuff I might play around with. So we're going to start by getting it some color. You can see it's really showing some of the detail. All right. And I'm also going and getting some of the higher edges right on there, but it's coming out super pretty. So off camera, I'm going to continue inking it and see where I end up liking it, and I'll show you in a minute. All right, so I have quite a bit of ink on here. As you can see, it completely changed the color of it, as well as my hands. So I like that. You can see all the details. You can see the details better that way. And then I was thinking of, I think I'm going to use this one. At first I wasn't sure if it was going to show up enough, but the more I'm going, it really is. So now I want to add a little bit of sparkle, so let me get something new. So new in the shop is Glitter Kiss, and this one happens to be Frosty Sparkle Kiss. So let's see about adding some sparkle to that. So it comes with an applicator. I need some water. Hold on, it is dry. Let me get some more water. All right, I got some more water. So you want to get your little sponges a little wet. And not saturated, just damp. And it's probably going to be hard to see the sparkle, because I know a lot of times when I use this kind of stuff, it's hard to see. So might be something better you'll see in a photo later. Nope, I'm definitely going to have to wash it because it's pulling the ink off. If I dab. Let's try dabbing. So see that you can't see it that well. I can see it though. Let's see. Sort of see it. Definitely something you'll probably have to see later in the pictures. Shoot, I wish I could see it better. And I can just clean off my sponge afterwards with some soap and water. I probably could have hit it with a heat gun too to get this to not rub off. And it looks like I'm actually rubbing it off with my hands. Whoops. So I'm going to let dry what I did put on there. And I might have to go back over again with some ink, but You can kind of see a little bit of the sparkle up there. All right, well, let me try to get it to dry and keep going. So definitely the trick with this one is a little more dabbing, not so much rubbing, because I am rubbing the ink off. So I went back and hit it with my, got some more ink in it, and then I hit it with my heat gun. And let's just do a little real quick. And let's add a little more. It dries, the glitter crisp dries pretty quickly too, so especially with the heat gun. Let's see. Oh, you're starting to see the sparkle now. Anyway, that's how I'm going to do that one. And I'm going to say I might be done with it. Let's see. So, yeah. Super pretty. I wish my camera would show you the pretty colors of this, but hopefully you'll see it better in a photo. Alrighty, so anyway, that's how I'm doing that piece. So we're going to go ahead and trim this out. And I'm going to use a pencil. So I roughly have it about where I want it. I tried to trim around the outside. You can see a little bit here, but that's not going to do what I want it to do. So we're going to go on the inside and then erase it. So oops. So that's the inside circle of it. So I know I need to get at least that much. This part here is all flat, so you can see how much spacing that you have to go around it. So I'm going to probably, it looks, I'm guessing I'm probably about a ½ inch around my original circle I drew. Let me use this one. Trim it out. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we're just going to stick this to the back of the frame. And if I set it on, plenty of space. Oops. Now I can go through and erase my pencil marks. Just like that. We have that, super pretty. You can do an actual photograph too. I'm just going to do the butterfly, and we're going to glue it down. Make sure this works. I knew it wouldn't. Hold on. Alright, I think my glue is camera shy because it works every other time except for when I'm on camera. And I'm going to center it to where I want it. And there we go. That's going to be on the cover of my album. And then I also have these Prima flowers right here. These match the paper collection nice. This one is called Nature Lover. And oops. And I'm not going to put these on just yet because I'm not sure what I'm using for a paper for the cover, but as you can see, they do match very nice on there. Anyway, that's how we're going to do that one. Okay, so I'm trying to go ahead and design my cover. So I'm using from my colors. This one is 12 by 12. It's Polar Bear. And this one has kind of a, well, you can see it. It's kind of got a pearlized shine to it. So that one's pretty. And then I am also using from my colors, this one is Bluebells. I have my stickers up here so I see what ones they are. So this one is Bluebells, and this one kind of has the polka dots. I inked all the edges with Vintage Photo. And let me just show you kind of what I'm thinking. So I'm going to kind of triple mat the cover. So I'm going to go like that. And then this guy on here. And then do it like this. So I think that would be really pretty. I do have to make it a little more even. And then I have this piece here because I'm trying not to go for a baby book so much and just use more of the butterfly paper parts and stuff. I was thinking of going ahead and putting this on the front of it. Let's get some more light in here. And then I have some flowers, some Prima flowers, and we'll see about going ahead and adding something kind of like that. But anyway, that's what I'm doing at the moment. So I just wanted to share with you how I am putting my cover together. And I have the 3 pages here. So we shall see what I end up doing. But that is the basic idea of how I'm going to go ahead and decorate the cover. And that's going to go right there. I'm propping the book up just to keep this cover level. And I'm going to add hot glue. And I'm going to put it on. So I have the glue on it, keeping the glue on both the paper and the frame. Press it down. And now the only thing left to do is I'm going to go ahead and make some flowers. I'm going to fussy cut out some of the butterflies so I can go ahead and attach them on. And I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. So let me give you a closer look at what I did to the cover. You can see all the dimension on there. So I went ahead and used Vintage Photo to ink around the flowers, fussy cut out these little butterflies right here as well as this one. And then I wanted, with all that popped out, I didn't feel the center was like doing it for me. So I went ahead and cut out one of the bigger butterflies and kind of hid this little guy underneath. So anyway, so he looks like he's going to fly right off the page. So you can see all that dimension. Alright, so anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button and go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I hope you enjoy this, and until next time, guys, happy crafting. Bye!